Hello my freaky darlings, welcome back. This week I'm looking into the history behind so many people's favorite gothic sex symbol, vampires. Vampires weren't always thought of as being the sexy anti-heroes, and they sure as shit didn't glitter like diamonds in the sunlight. So where exactly did the belief in these bloodsuckers originate? We all know the basics. They have fangs, drink human blood, and can't see themselves in mirrors. They can be warded off with garlic or killed with a stake through the heart, although more modern incantations are turning all the traditional ideas on their heads. But that's a matter for a whole other video, because today I'm focusing on the real vampires in history and not the fictional ones. So the traditional belief centered around the fear that the dead, once buried, could still harm the living. In 2006, archaeologists unearthed a 16th century skull in Venice, Italy. It had been buried among plague victims with a brick in its mouth. The brick was likely a burial tactic to prevent strega, or Italian vampires or witches, from leaving the grave to eat people. Now, this bit is very, very interesting. Not all vampires were thought to leave their grave physically. In northern Germany, the Nachtsera, or after devourers, stayed in the ground chewing on their burial shrouds. This belief likely has to do with purge fluid, which could cause the burial shroud to sag or tear, creating the illusion that the corpse has been chewing on it. These masticators were still thought to cause trouble above ground and were also believed to be most active during outbreaks of the plague. In 1679, a Protestant theologian accused the Nachtsera of harming their surviving family members through occult processes. He wrote that family could stop them by exhuming the body and stuffing its mouth with soil and maybe a stone and a coin for good measure. Without the ability to chew, the corpse would die of starvation and therefore stop causing trouble for the surviving family members. Anyway, tales of vampires continued to flourish in southern and eastern Europe in the 17th and 18th centuries. By the mid-18th century, Pope Benedict XVI declared that vampires were fallacious fictions of human fantasy. And the Habsburg ruler Maria Theresa condemned vampire beliefs as superstition and fraud. Still, beliefs in vampires continued. One of the last big vampire scares occurred in the 19th century New England, 2 centuries after the witch trials. In 1892, 19-year-old Mercy Brown of Exeter, Rhode Island, died of tuberculosis, also known as consumption. Her mother and sister were already dead, and her brother Edwin was sick. Concerned neighbors worried that one of the recently deceased Brown women might be harming Edwin from the grave. When they opened Mercy Brown's grave, they found blood in her mouth and her heart. They took this as a sign of vampirism. The neighbors burned Mercy's heart and mixed the ashes into a potion for Edwin to drink. This was apparently a common anti-vampire tactic. The potion was meant to heal him. Instead, he died a few months later. Duh, I mean, seriously. How fucked up is that? But she did have blood in her mouth and in her heart. I mean, how the fuck did that happen? Okay, so I'm just going to let you stew on that one. You can let me know what you think. Yeah, because it's a bit of a mindfuck. Yeah, anyway. Now, as far as dear old Uncle Vlad, the most famous vampire of all, also known as Romanian Prince Vlad Tepes, who was born in 1431 and died in 1476 at the age of 45. It's commonly believed that Stoker modeled some aspects of Dracula after him. The characterization of Tepes as a vampire, however, is distinctly Western. In Romania, he is viewed not as a blood-drinking sadist, but as a national hero who defended his empire from the Ottoman Turks. Perception is everything, people. There are also Asian vampires such as the Chinese Chongshi, who are believed to be evil spirits that attack people and drain their life energy. Then there are the blood-drinking, wrathful deities that appear in the Tibetan Book of the Dead, and so many others that will probably find their way into future videos. But my personal favorite is Elizabeth Bathory, the Blood Countess. While Vlad wasn't really a blood-sucking vampire, merely the inspiration for one, Elizabeth Bathory may have actually fed on and bathed in blood. Elizabeth was a Romanian countess in the 16th century who found joy in torturing peasants. The torture ranged from simple beatings and stabbings to piercing fingers and lips with iron nails or dousing them in freezing cold water and letting them die in the snow. Rumors that Elizabeth was a vampire began when it was alleged that she bathed in the blood of young maidens. Apparently she started doing this to reduce the effects of aging. However, some historians refute this claim as being added to the story after the fact. Eventually, Bathory was walled inside her castle, alive, with only enough space for her to receive air and food until she died years later. Elizabeth is not only classified as a vampire, but also one of the most prolific serial killers. So I'll probably be doing more on her in the future. She was truly one fascinating evil bitch. Yeah. Anyway, so that's it for this week. If you've enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, and if you're interested in things that go bump in the night, conspiracy theories, urban legends, and other weird shit, please hit that subscribe button or the follow button, depending on which platform you're viewing this on. If you've read any of my books and enjoyed them, be a freaky darling and please leave a review wherever you bought it. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, and don't get drained by a vampire.